In a time when much of Europe was veiled in shadow, a brilliant light shone from the heart of the Iberian Peninsula. This was Al-Andalus. For 8 centuries, it was a land where faith and knowledge were not rivals, but partners in a dance that created unparalleled beauty. In Córdoba, the great mosque stood as a forest of pillars, its arches stretching towards heaven, mirroring the infinite quest for understanding. In its libraries, scholars, Muslim, Jewish, and Christian, pored over texts of medicine, astronomy, and philosophy, their candlelight illuminating a world hungry for wisdom. Poets recited verses by fountains in Seville, their words weaving love, loss, and the divine into the very fabric of the city. This was not just a kingdom, it was an idea. A testament that different cultures could coexist, innovate, and create a civilization that would become the envy of the world. For a time, it seemed this golden age would last forever. But even the brightest stars are destined to fade. The foundation of Al-Andalus, once as solid as the stones of its palaces, began to fracture from within. The Grand Caliphate, the symbol of unity, shattered into a mosaic of smaller, rival kingdoms known as the Taifas. Where there was once a shared purpose, now there was only ambition. Rulers, once brothers in faith, became adversaries, their courts consumed by political greed and power struggles. Trust was replaced by betrayal, and alliances shifted like desert sands. The once mighty walls of unity began to crack, not from an external enemy, but from the corrosion of internal strife. Symbolic imagery tells this story better than any chronicle, a beautifully crafted mosaic, once a perfect whole, now with pieces missing, falling away one by one. A proud banner, tattered and torn, not by a foreign sword, but by the hands that once raised it high. The elegant calligraphy on a sacred text begins to fade, as if the very words of unity were losing their meaning. When a civilization turns upon itself, its spirit begins to wither. The gardens, once meticulously tended, show the first signs of neglect. The vibrant marketplaces grow a little quieter. The intellectual debates in the grand halls are replaced by hushed whispers of plots and counterplots. It was in these moments of division that Al-Andalus became vulnerable, its internal weaknesses an open invitation to the storm that was gathering on the horizon. The light, once so brilliant, began to dim, not from an outside force, but from a decay that started in its very heart. While the Taifa Kingdoms squabbled amongst themselves, the Christian kingdoms of the north, once fragmented, were uniting under a single, powerful banner, the Reconquista. A storm of conquest, centuries in the making, began to sweep south across Iberia. It was a relentless tide, fueled by faith, ambition, and the dream of a unified Christian Spain. One by one, the great cities of Al-Andalus, which had stood for centuries as beacons of culture and learning, began to fall. Córdoba, the intellectual heart, was conquered. Seville, the city of poets and gardens, surrendered. Toledo, a center of translation and shared knowledge, was lost. Each victory for the advancing armies was a profound loss for the Andalusian world. The calls to prayer from minarets were silenced, replaced by the ringing of church bells. Libraries were emptied, their precious manuscripts scattered or burned, a devastating blow to the collective memory of a civilization. With every fallen city, the world of Al-Andalus shrank, its light receding further and further south. Finally, only one bastion remained, a final jewel, perched high in the mountains of Sierra Nevada, the kingdom of Granada. Here, nestled beneath the magnificent shadow of the Alhambra Palace, the last remnants of Andalusian culture made their final stand. The fortress palace, with its intricate stucco, shimmering tiles, and tranquil courtyards, became a symbol of defiance and beauty against the encroaching darkness. The towers of the Alhambra shone one last night, a final, defiant glimmer against the dawn of sorrow that was fast approaching. Granada was no longer just a city, it was the last sanctuary, the final repository of a dream that had lasted 800 years. The year is 1492. The winter air over Granada is thick with tension and sorrow. The city, which had held out for so long, is besieged and starving. Its people, descendants of scholars and artists, now face the bitter end. Inside the Alhambra, the last ruler, Muhammad XII, known as Boabdil, faces an impossible choice: fight to the last man and see his city destroyed, or surrender and preserve what remains. The decision is made. The scene is not one of glorious battle, but of quiet, heartbreaking ceremony. We see it not through the faces of kings and queens, but through powerful, symbolic gestures. A hand, trembling slightly, extends the heavy, ornate keys to the city, a symbol of an entire civilization being relinquished. In the courtyard, the red and green banner of Granada, which had flown over the Alhambra for centuries, is slowly, solemnly lowered. As if on cue, a cold winter rain begins to fall, washing over the silent city, mingling with the unshed tears of its people. The rain falls on the intricate tile work of the palace walls, on the empty market stalls, and on the silent, watchful faces of the conquering soldiers. The haunting sound of an oud, a lone string instrument, plays a mournful melody that echoes through the now empty halls. And so, the last light of Al-Andalus dimmed. It was not extinguished in a blaze of glory, but faded into silence, its legacy carried not on banners, but in memory whispered on the wind. The surrender was complete, the armies marched in, and a new era began. But what happens when a civilization of such profound beauty falls into silence? Does it simply vanish? No, it leaves behind echoes. We wander now through the abandoned palaces of the Alhambra, the overgrown gardens of the Generalife. The fountains still flow, but the poets who once found inspiration in their murmur are long gone. The courtyards, once filled with the lively exchange of ideas, are now still, holding only the whispers of the past. The intricate archways frame not bustling life, but a melancholic emptiness. Yet, even in this silence, the spirit of Al-Andalus endures. It lives in the very stones of these buildings, in the mathematical genius of their design, in the floral patterns that climb the walls, reaching for a heaven they still remember. It survives in the soul-stirring melodies of flamenco music, its rhythms and passions carrying the DNA of Andalusian song. It persists in the words we use today: algebra, algorithm, alchemy, ghosts of a language that once defined the pinnacle of knowledge. Empires fall, rulers are forgotten, and borders are redrawn. But beauty, true beauty, never dies. It becomes a part of the world's heritage, a gift to all of humanity. If you listen closely, in the quiet courtyards of Córdoba and Granada, you can still hear it. The stones of Al-Andalus still remember the sound of prayer, the cadence of poetry, and the hum of a civilization that, though its time has passed, is not lost, but forever remembered. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back in time. The story of Al-Andalus is a powerful reminder of both the heights of human achievement and the fragility of peace. If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more journeys into the heart of history. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious.